What's going on, guys? Justin here with Muddy River Outdoors. Today I want to do a video on the RPM Sidewinder. Now, I just got my RPM Nitro back from Hydro Dip. You can go back and you can check out that video where I just got it back from Hydro Dip and I completely rebuilt the whole thing. But after I got it Hydro Dipped and got it put back together, I wanted to address a problem that I've been having with this bow, and any lever bow for that matter, is where do you put your arrow when you're not using it? Other bows that I've had, there's a place on the bow that you can put that arrow in there when you're not using it and it stows it in place. With the lever bows, that's not an option. So when you're not using your bow, that arrow is just hanging around, flopping all over, or you have to take the arrow off and put it somewhere else, which is just a complete pain in the butt. So once I got my Nitro put back together, I wanted to address that problem. And I went to the RPM website and I found their solution. And that is this guy right here. This is the RPM Sidewinder. It is a dual purpose piece of equipment to put on your bow. It is a line puller, so you can see here the Sidewinder, it mounts to your bow in these holes down here on any bow that you've got. I don't care what bow you've got, this should fit on it. So it mounts down here, and here's your line puller right here in the middle, but also on the back side of that you've got your arrow holder here. So this is a dual purpose piece of equipment, and I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I mean, just from looking at it, I can tell this thing is going to be super solid. It's going to do the job, and I'm really excited about having it on my bow. So when I first got the Sidewinder here, what I was noticing is kind of how tall it is. And at first, I thought that might be an issue. I wasn't really excited about how far that was going to come up off of the bow riser itself. I thought it was going to stick out quite a ways from the bow. When you're holding the bow in this direction, it was going to stick out this way, just way too far. But now that I've got it on, it really doesn't. I really think it's going to be just right. You know, when you're out there shooting and you get into a situation where you need to wrap that line around that guy, I think it's going to stick out just the right amount so that you can get to it quickly without having to, you know, fiddle around with it and try to get it in something that's a little bit smaller than that. So I really think that actually is the perfect size for that sticking off of there, and I don't see any issues with that now that I've got it on the bow. So another product that RPM makes that I really like, that I'd like to point out, is the rest that they offer, the arrow rest. This arrow rest right here is really simple, but I like it the best because it offers, when your arrow comes down into the rest itself, it's not going to be able to pop out because of right here on the top side of the rest itself, there's little tabs that come down, and there's just enough room for that arrow to slide through those tabs and come into place. So when you're out there, you know, bow fishing, you don't have to worry about your arrow flopping out of that rest. There's a lot of other rests on the market that I just feel like when you're out walking around the bank or even in the boat, if you're not paying attention to where your arrow is at, it could fall out of that rest because there's no retention. I used to run on my bow fishing bow when I first started. I used to run a whisker biscuit like back in the days when you'd run that on your hunting bow, because that's really all I had at the time. But with the heavier arrows, with the heavier bow fishing arrows, those would actually fall down through the little splines in the whisker biscuit, and it just wasn't working out really good. So I went to a couple of different ones, but when I got my Nitro, I did get the RPM rest that they offered here, and after using that for a year now, I really like that rest, and I don't see any reason to change. I know there's a lot of other ones on the market, but honestly for me, I just really like this rest. Like I said, mainly because it just offers an extra little bit of retention with these little notches in the top that doesn't allow that arrow. See, look, I can't hardly even push that arrow back up through it. So there's no risk of that arrow coming out of that rest and flopping off to the side. Also, you know, when you're drawing it, you know, when you're drawing that arrow, if you get in a hurry or just you bump it on the side of the boat or something like that, you know, you can have those arrows pop out of that rest, you know, and then that arrow is going to go flying off to the side, or you just completely, you know, aren't able to take that shot. So I really like that rest, guys. I highly recommend checking out the rest that RPM offers. Alright guys, well that's pretty much all I got for tonight. I just wanted to get this quick little video out on these 2 RPM products that I really stand by. I really like them a lot. I highly recommend them to anybody out there. And I just, if I could get everybody to like, subscribe, and share my video, I really appreciate it. Thanks guys.